If I could ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before everyone gets seated, I just want to have a quick moment of silence. We recently lost a member of our staff here, custodial staff here at Bay Path, to a tragic accident. Bill Boucher passed on April 12th after 16 years of part-time service here at the school. So if we could just give a moment of silence. Thank you. If I could ask the superintendent to read off the fire department regs.
Sure, we have two emergency exits located right here that you came in. You head straight down the hallway and go out the main entrance. If the main entrance is blocked, you can go left or right. If these exits are blocked, you can exit through the doorway located in the back corner of the room through health technology and then follow the sign.
All right, thank you. And as noted at the opening, this is actually a public hearing for school choice. So to kick that public hearing off, what I'd like to do is ask the superintendent to give an explanation of school choice.
Sure, through the chair. The school committee must vote prior to June 1st as to whether the district will or will not participate in the school choice program for the next school year. As we continue to have a large waiting list each year for in-district students, we do not have additional slots for out-of-district students. Therefore, I am recommending that the school committee vote not to participate in the school choice program.
Okay, thank you. What we'll do now is we'll open it up for any questions from the committee first, and then we can open it up to any questions from the public.
Have a motion?
Not for a hearing.
Oh, yeah. The next one.
Yeah, we actually will vote, we'll make a decision in the actual meeting. This is just the hearing portion of it to collect any questions or concerns. Anyone from the committee have any questions?
What's the approximate number of students on the waiting list?
Just under 300.
Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, I'll look to the public. Are there any questions or comments on school choice from the public? Seeing none, we could have a real quick hearing on this one. I would entertain a motion for adjournment from the public hearing in that case.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, the hearing is officially closed, and we'll move into our regular agenda. First item on our regular agenda is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting of April 3rd, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Motion to approve the minutes from April 3rd. Any questions, changes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is approval of warrants. I see that they're circulating. Is there a motion to sign the warrants?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to sign the warrants moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Correspondence. The committee did receive one correspondence. Marie, Marie, you might have more. Is there any that you had?
Is it in here?
Okay. This one it came in, I think, late yesterday. So we have one correspondence from a gentleman named Mr. Davis. Everyone, I think, was copied on the email to see the topics that were raised on that correspondence. So the plan of action there is I've asked the superintendent to review those topics and we can respond accordingly. But I believe everyone was aware of the memo. Next up, we have student advisory. Linda.
I did another survey this morning. This one I got 43 responses, and I asked about senior events which are coming up. And
Could you speak louder, please?
We had last month.
Would you mind speaking up a little bit?
Oh, sorry. Should I start over?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Hang on. So I did another survey this month. I got 43 responses and I asked about senior events, which are coming up, and then Spirit Week, which we had last month. So firstly, senior events, I didn't get a lot of responses because not a lot of seniors actually took the survey this time around. But I did see that most people are excited for senior events just overall. But one thing that came up was that prom tables were confusing. This is something that is handled by our advisors, I think, but our selection for prom tables has kind of changed. I don't know what the situation was around that, but some of the feedback was saying that that was confusing and that they wish for a little more communication. The next thing I asked about was Spirit Week. 43% said that it was good and that they participated in it. 29% did not find it interesting. 14% did not actually know about it at all. 10% said it was great and participated in multiple days. And a small 5% said they hated it. Then I asked about general feedback, positive and negative, surrounding all different sorts of topics. For positive, once again, we had shop, which 28 people selected, and the second most selected was school events, which was only 13 people. So shop was very overwhelmingly in the lead, as usual. And for negative feedback, 19 people selected lunch and food, 18 selected communication, and 18 selected academics. And then I asked for students to elaborate. I didn't get a lot of very concerning responses this time, but there was something where several students mentioned that there was an unequal treatment of sports. I've gotten this many months, so it's like recurring, but no one has explained it in the survey so far. So next month I will follow up on that and get an explanation. And another thing that came up was just a suggestion that we could start having recycling bins in school to make it a little more eco-friendly. But other than that, that was basically it.
All right, thank you, Amanda. Any questions, Mr. Wilby?
To the chair, can I ask her about, Amanda, about the new Leo Club that she's a member of? And how it went with the charter night?
The charter night?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good. I wish you were there.
No, I was sick, I couldn't be there.
I heard.
But how was it? It was a nice presentation. Everybody got a flower and, they all got their charter pins and, it was 24 or 27?
I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, of new Leos, and the club here at Bay Path. So.
I have a question. If there are no recycling bins, what do these students do with the trash and recyclables? It all goes into one container, and then does it ever get divided?
No, yes? I didn't get a chance to look
It's
into
an
it.
automatic system that does the transfer and separates trash. We went that route because it was actually cheaper for the school to do it that way. So they do it on the outside, so there's not separate barrels and separate people cleaning out.
So it happens up at the recycling plant?
Yes.
Yeah, Single
Single
stream,
stream.
and they, yeah.
Oh, that's good, thank you.
See, we solved the problem already, or?
You don't need separate.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
For everybody, all trash in Massachusetts that isn't divided early has to go through single stream. So it's the state law, it all has to be divided so it's all recycled. So there isn't anything, if you say for instance have a transfer station like North Brookfield does, they separate out the recycles before they get to the compactor, and then you throw your regular trash in the compactor. It goes directly to the incinerator or to the landfill. But if trash isn't separated, it has to go through the single stream process by state law to pull out recycles. So
Did not realize that.
just information for our friend here, so she knows going forward that if it's regular trash, it has to go through single stream at some point. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Amanda?
Through the chair.
We have one thing for you.
Through the chair, I'd like to recognize Arminda's last official school committee meeting with a little gift and some flowers.
Thank you so much for everything you did this year.
Oh, thank you very much.
The survey says
I think I said it several times after your different survey feedbacks over the course of the year, Arminda, but the information that you provided us, throughout the year has been really valuable, and I know, you've worked with the administration to try to implement some of the things that the students have, pointed out, so it's really helpful, and thank you for everything you did. And of course, best of luck to you going forward. Do you mind telling us your next steps?
I'm going to Wheaton College in fall, and I'm gonna study psychology, and I'm gonna hopefully get my PhD way in the future and become a psychologist.
that's great.
Well, I think you figured things out soon. And feel free to come back at our June meeting if you want.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
She'll be a graduate by that time.
I know, that's why I said that. All right, under old business, we have FY '23 school budget adjustments and the school choice items. So the first thing we'll tackle is the FY '23 school budget adjustment.
Sure. Through the school chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to decrease $12,419 from account number 589 textbooks and $12,418 from account number 170 academic instruction equipment in order to cover the increase in the school choice assessment obligation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, next item we have up is citizen participation. And I think is there a notepad over there with sign-ins?
Yes.
Just grab that from you. All right, so we're fortunate tonight to have a lot of people for citizen participation. What I'll do is I'll just give a brief overview of our policy regarding public comment, and then we can jump right in. So public comment, all regular meetings are open to the public, as everyone knows. And we certainly welcome everyone to come and share their thoughts with the school committee. Public comment is not necessarily a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals in the school committee, but it is an opportunity for people to express opinions and views of topics under the school committee purview. So the public comment segment is 15 minutes long, and what we do is we try to allow up to 3 minutes per person per speaker. But if there's any comments that anyone wishes to share that might exceed those 3 minutes, feel free to submit those in writing after the meeting. So what I'll do is I'll jump right in and I'll ask if I'll just go in the name of the order of the sign in, and if you'd like to speak, feel free. And if not, you can just pass to the next individual, I'll let you decide. So the first person on the list is, I'm not gonna try to tackle the last name, but it's Deb.
Debbie Mick, yes.
Would you wish to speak?
No, I'll pass it to Jen.
We're all here.
Jen, are you the designated speaker? Do you wanna jump in?
Yes,
Okay.
and then we can all kind of,
Yeah,
if
Okay.
that's okay with you guys. So my name's Jen McCann, my son, I have an older son that graduated from here, played football and lacrosse. I have a son who's a junior right now who plays football and lacrosse. And I know there's other people here that have been to the school, have played sports at the school. So we're basically here to voice our opinion about the condition of the fields for the kids playing on the fields. The football field, yes, in general, but we know that this field is also used by lacrosse and soccer, the track and stuff, so field hockey, so many sports are being played on this field. And just in my personal experience with my kids being here, one year we couldn't even play at the school because the field was so bad, we had to go to a different school for games and such. I know there's drainage problems. I know they're saying practice was canceled today. They couldn't even practice on their own field today and they had to go to the gym because of the poor conditions of the field, which impacts lots of things as far as playing on their actual field, not getting games canceled, or having to move to a different school to play on their field, not our home field, because of the conditions of the field. It has to do with safety. These kids playing on this field that's not safe, puddles and mushiness and whatever it might be. So I don't know, it's a tech school, you know, but it's also, the kids are here for a roundabout education, and a tech school is amazing. But for those kids who also want to play sports and excel and have pride in their school and play for their school and do all that, I feel like they're kind of getting the short end of the stick, where they're out there busting their butt to play sports because they love it, but also for the pride in their school. And they're not being shown the consideration of, hey, here we are having to go to other schools and our games get canceled and we have to go travel someplace else. Like, what about our home field? Like, who cares about us that we should be acknowledged for all of these sports to get a better field? Not necessarily asking for a turf field tomorrow, because there's pros and cons of turf fields and stuff like that, but just a better field, some maintenance done on the field so that we don't have to make these accommodations that are not in favor of our own kids being here. If anyone else has stuff to add to that, feel free.
I would say just the conditions of the fields in general.
Can I ask one thing, and I failed to ask this when we started? If you speak, can I just ask you to state the town that you're from, your name and the town you're from as well, just for the record? Thanks. Jen is from Rutland.
I'm Jamie Shaw from North Brookfield. I have a son that currently goes here, he's a sophomore, and I have another one coming in for 9th grade next year. So both playing football, and my younger one will be playing lacrosse. My older one already plays lacrosse. Like Jen voiced, the field conditions are just, some days they're really good and other days they're just not great. There's obviously the safety concerns with the divots on the field can lead to broken ankles, pulled hamstrings, whatever the case may be. She also voiced that, you know, we are a tech school. I believe we do have a department in this tech school that kind of deals with maintenance. So I'm not sure if that's something that could be handled on that level. Drainage issues, I know it's not just the football field. There's baseball games that have been moved, softball games have been moved due to the standing water on the fields. Our kids love playing here. They love having other schools come here. As I'm sure everybody in this room knows, the state vocational championship game that we won, our kids are proud to play here. And just having a field that they can't play on half the time. Just speaking of this week alone, we have 3 lacrosse games this week that are all supposed to be home. And I fear to say, because of the rain coming, they're probably gonna get canceled.
They couldn't even practice today, they had to practice in the gym.
So, it's definitely a concern, it definitely needs attention. It's long overdue. I know there's a couple people sitting in this section that may wanna speak up, but they've played on these fields when they were in school. So it's definitely something that needs some attention.
And practicing in a gym and practicing on the own field that you're gonna play on is very different. Like, you can practice in a gym, but it's totally not the same as doing it on your actual field and getting the skills needed to be able to be successful.
My name is Terry Cunningham. I'm from Auburn. I reiterate everything that they have just said. One thing to note too is, like, so last week these lacrosse games were moved to a different town, a different school, and no buses are available to take those kids because it's a last minute change. So the kids get bused to a different school, or they get bused there, but they can't get bused back. So the parents have to take the kids from the school back home if they want to play. And it's just last minute things. So that is something that as parents, of course, we're gonna do because our kids love the sport they want to play. And it is a wonderful field that we have back there. We have a great scoreboard and we have great stands. We have great concession stands. It's a fabulous place to come on Friday night lights of football. And you know, the amount of people here that are fantastic, and to see all the alumni here. But when the field is not of great condition, my son graduated last year. He played football here. My current son, the freshman, plays football and lacrosse. But it does seem that the problems has been getting worse and worse. And I know we have climate change. And so the rain is going to come, and the rain is going to be more prevalent and heavier, as they do say. So looking forward to the future, and not asking, I don't know if this is a topic that's been brought up in any school committees, of, you know, looking to the future, what can we do 3 years from now, 5 years from now? But as Jamie was saying, that yes, we are the state vocational championships, that game was won on Shepherd Hills Field, which is turf. And we were there last week for a lacrosse game, and I happened to notice on the turf, a big, huge Dunkin' Donuts sign in the turf, permanent part of that turf. I don't know if Dunkin' Donuts had something to do with that field and chipped in money, but I do know we have a really big business that's located just a couple miles down Route 20 that might be willing to, if they were solicited, to put money towards something of improving the drainage, the grass, or making sure, or something. But the way that it sits right now, if nothing is done with it, then there will not be many games that are gonna be played in the future, because it's just gonna be a mud pit, and safety is a concern. My son said, Mom, those divots are really big, I couldn't snap my ankle, but loves to play and will continue to play. So it is just something that I think we, as parents, see the concern, and just hope that it's something that you can put on your radar to try to remedy for the future of the students here at the school, because it's a wonderful school and they have so much pride in it.
And I think we mostly speak for football and lacrosse, but I know there's other teams like baseball and things too that say the same things. I can't really speak much about that because I don't have a baseball player and I have not seen those fields. But I know in posts that I put in for football and lacrosse and the Bay Path Parents page, that there are some parents that spoke up about the other sports as well. But I can't fully say anything about that because I don't know, I haven't seen it, but.
Anyone else wish to make a comment?
Hi.
You changed your mind.
Yeah. I just wanted to
I had to
add,
break the ice.
I'm Debbie Mack, I'm from Dudley, Mass. My grandson plays football and lacrosse. I wanted to see for myself, so before this meeting, I went out to the field and I actually walked up and down it. And I have to say, it was like being in a marsh. Like literally your feet sink in it. There were several large pools of water. So I invite you all to go take a walk on the field. There's so many bare spots, it's just like a mud bowl. And my grandson told me that the other teams call it the cow pasture when they're coming here. You know, I just wanted to throw that in there.
I'm just gonna add to that. My name's Tara Spencer.
Thank you.
I think that our kids that play sports have a tremendous amount of pride for the school. And I think that by having a field that they're content with, that they can safely play on, might also build some school pride. I know that the girl in the corner over there was doing surveys and looking for, you know, things that we can do to improve. And I do think that if you probably question kids in school, they might be more likely to attend if conditions were better and there was more of a rapid, kids kind of got together. And I know when I was a kid, there were plenty more kids and parents and everybody around the stands when we were playing sports than I'm seeing now. And I do think that the condition of what we have here might be affecting that on top of safety.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Carter from Auburn. I've had a daughter in 2018 graduate from here, and I have twins on lacrosse and football and field hockey. And all the years, my oldest daughter played track. She said the exact same thing back then. And piggybacking back on her team morale, all the years, back in 2018, they used to have the pep rallies and everybody was excited. That, I don't know if it's COVID or what, I think that we had one last year. But even, you know, the home opener games and stuff, we could have like a ribbon cutting ceremony, sell some shirts from, you know, like Pride for the School, some shirts from Graphic Arts and stuff, just to kind of give back a little bit to the school. But I think it'll be a really good thing for the school and coming generations. Some of the kids will be like, you know, if you look at BBT, there's a lot of, through their skills and everything, a lot of children want to go to BBT for all the different things. So if we're looking at the other schools that we compete against for skills and go up against in like our sports, you know, what makes them wanna come here for that, you know what I mean? So, just my part.
Thank you.
John Carter from Auburn. So I'm a former Beaver, and
Me
my,
too.
and my children now are Minutemen, and I have a 6-year-old who could possibly be a Minuteman or, you know, Beaver, or wherever we live in Auburn still. But I had the opportunity to play on these fields back in '97.
Decades ago.
And playing soccer, I do remember playing on the field and the conditions were subpar. And they continued to today, subpar. And the track is in disrepair. And I understand that it's huge amounts of money to, you know, repair a track that's disabled and unusable. But like everybody else is concerned and voiced, you know, we're not looking for a turf field, we're looking for a better managed field that can withstand, you know, the rain and the wind or whatever, the snow, you know, whatever happened. Because once again, it is pride. And I am a Beaver, but I'm a Minuteman for my kids. So, and, you know, 11 years when my son potentially goes here, I want to be proud of coming here and if he wants to play sports.
Thank you.
So how much time do we have left out of the 15 minutes?
You got 3 minutes.
I'll be quick. So my name's Phil Davis, I'm from Oxford. I sent everybody here the email last night. I apologize not getting it out sooner. I was hoping on getting it out. Just with the 3 minutes is not gonna be enough, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Cloutier. So I was wondering, first of all, if the points that I made in my email, the questions that I have and concerns, if it could be possibly put on the next agenda meeting, something that could be discussed. Because obviously with 3 minutes, we're not gonna have enough time to get through. Fields, 100%. So I graduated here in 1992. I was class president of the school. I'm a Hall of Fame member up here 2 times. I have 2 twin boys that go here now. The fields are in the same condition that the fields were in 31 years ago. We were canceling games then, we're not practicing on the fields. Unlike everybody else here, yes, I would love to see AstroTurf up here. This school, when it was built, it's built on clay. We all know this. It holds water, we get green grass. Unfortunately, it also holds puddles and everything else. So, upgrade to the fields would be fantastic. And not just the football field, the baseball field, the practice field area, the soccer field, everywhere in general up here. It's really something, and it's a pride thing. As I touched on my email last night, like, you know, Bay Path, when I was here, it was not difficult to get in. When you applied, you got into the school. Bay Path now has become one of the best schools in Massachusetts, vocational. Even out of vocational, this school is, Mr. Brennan touched on it, 300 plus people still waiting to get into the school on the waiting list. We understand we can't take everybody, but on the same end, the facilities here, you know, if we're a Class A school, and I challenged everybody last night when I sent the email, whatever town, whatever district you're from, look at your town fields, see what they look like. Auburn, state of the art. Millbury, state of the art. So on and so forth. I mean, Shepherd Hill, unbelievable. Dunkin' Donuts side, yeah, they have a student that goes there and their father owns about 50 of them, so I recommend that. So that does help.
We like to adopt.
A couple other things I wanted to touch on besides the fields. One, I was just wondering about, so everybody knows throughout the email that I did send, I was just wondering how the decisions are made for students to get accepted to Bay Path. I did a little research myself just trying to find it, and I was not able to find any kind of guidelines on what to follow. So Some of that in my email is speculation, some of it is what I've heard from other people. Some of that might be right on how kids are now getting into BayPath. Some is right, some might be wrong, but either way, I can't find any information on what to do. Secondly, through the last couple of meetings, I know there's been discussion about canceling the housing program, which I was a graduate of BayPath here at Carpentry. I've owned my own business for over 25 years. That is a giant mistake. The kids in this trade need that hands-on to build that house, to move forward, to understand what to do. Taking that away is not good. I know through the years, I've heard Worcester Vote got rid of it some years ago. I have 2 sophomores up here right now, they're both in electrical. For them not to get a chance to work on a house, to move forward in their trade, you know, that is a problem. Second part I hit on that is, you know, the numbers, I'm not sure how skewed they are, but the numbers of the kids staying in their trades versus the 90s to now. My phone used to ring off the hook right now, kids looking for summer jobs. It's been 10 years. The only way that I get kids now is I actually have to come to the school to try to introduce myself, meet kids, talk to kids in order to get summer help. I always hire co-op students. I'm a big co-op guy. I was co-op when I was a student here. So that's something I like to, you know, also just let everybody know, like, however we're letting these kids in the school now, I just don't want to forget what this school is. This is a trade school. You know, it's blue collar, hardworking kids. That's what these towns are around here. A couple other parts that I touched about, and like I said, I'd like to be put on the agenda so I can have a little bit more discussion on, you know, some other things. The fields are definitely a problem, you know. They're definitely a problem up here. They definitely need to be looked at, touched upon. I was looking at some of the numbers in the budget, you know, when you guys just did the fiscal annual year, and, you know, I see $28 million, and I know to put in for it, to start looking to do fields. I know you're gonna get fought by some of the other towns, but it's something that definitely needs to happen here in general. I wish I could remember the rest of my email, but I'm sitting here on the spot, I can't think of it. I know we're pressed for time, so like I said, I just wanted to let everybody know who I am. I did send the email. It's very concerning to me. I have a lot of pride in the school. There's people here tonight that didn't even come to the school, and they're sitting here tonight trying to make this school better for their kids and the kids coming up and through. And I think that's the goal of the school committee members and everybody here. We try to make the best we can for the kids we have coming through. So if you didn't get a chance to read my email, please read through it. I did attach my phone number and my email. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I'd be more than willing to sit down, have a cup of coffee, come here for the next meeting, whatever it needs to be. But I just want to let everybody know who I am and, you know, what my thoughts were, and hopefully I can get some answers on that email. And thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Thank you, Mr. Cloutier, school committee members.
Thank you.
I remember you.
Mr. Cloutier might not remember me too.
All right, I think everyone had an opportunity, so thank you very much, everyone, for coming and voicing those concerns. Typically what we'll do is we'll take it in, and then we have a roundtable towards the end of the meeting, and I can't help but to think that at least the field topic will definitely be an item of conversation and probably placed as a topic on the next agenda. So thank you again.
Do we leave now, or do we stay?
You're more than welcome to do either.
What
Yeah.
would be the protocol for that?
No protocol, whatever you want to do.
Stay as long as you want.
Yep.
We were just gonna help ourselves some sandwiches, chips, any brownies over there?
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff over there.
All right, next.
I don't need any more.
All right.
All right, moving on to new business. Under new business, we have presentations, and there's a note here that I think we were planning on the robotics presentation, but we're gonna reschedule that to the June meeting. So there's no other presentations. Item B is school choice. So I'll turn that back over to the superintendent.
Through the chair, Superintendent Director recommends the school committee vote not to participate in the school choice program for the 23-24 school year.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All right, motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Opposed? I'm sorry?
Yes, I know. How is it stated?
So-
Because
So
it's
the
a tricky
motion
one.
is to not
To
participate
not
in school
participate,
choice.
right.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item we have is surplus equipment declaration.
Through the chair, the superintendent director and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to declare 2 Bluebird school buses as surplus to be disposed of according to the school committee's surplus equipment policy using the most appropriate method available. So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item D, E&D transfer of funds for school buses.
Through the chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the business manager recommend the school committee vote to appropriate and transfer $169,215 from E&D to the bus van capital fund 325 as submitted. So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion to transfer funds?
How big are these buses we're buying? I mean, are they full-size buses or are they the short buses we use for,
Full size.
full-size?
Full size.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item E, FY '23 budget transfers.
Through the chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to approve budget transfers totaling $127,947.56 as submitted. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item G, acceptance of the 2023-2024 out-of-district tuition.
Skip.
Oh, did I skip something?
Yeah.
Oh, transfer of funds for the field house, I apologize.
Through the chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote. I did it, sorry. Through the chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to transfer $85,721 from account 3292 Education Foundation Gift Revenue / Fund 004 to account 3295 Fieldhouse Donations Revenue and Fund 004. So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded for the transfer of funds for field house. Any questions or comments?
I have a question for the chair. Just a follow-up to the subcommittee question. I'm not looking for the initial proposal to the school committee on this, but just a question. When we do propose something like the field house or any other larger projects on the campus, does it come with an initial quote as to what the cost will be? That was well before my time.
So, through the chair, that was set up before my time as well, but I would imagine that if we are doing a project, just like we're transferring funds now, we would transfer funds to that account with a cost proposal.
Okay.
So, but again, not being part of that, not 100% certain that,
Yeah.
that all of that.
I would just ask if that wasn't a practice, that maybe we could get those hard numbers before we start construction, before we decide on voting on that, such projects. That's all.
I think that's a fair request. I guess like as a follow-up to that, I would ask, I'm assuming the 85,721, everyone's comfortable that that would be the last request needed to complete the project? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly seems reasonable with the price of materials going up. And then with the understanding that there is a need for a different type of plumbing or drainage out there. I totally understand that. It's just, I don't see the original numbers, so I just question it, that's all.
thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of the motion for the transfer?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Now we can do the acceptance of the 2023-2024 out-of-district tuition.
Through the chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to set the 23-24 non-resident tuition rate for vocational students at $17,764. The 23-24 non-resident tuition rate for special education students at $19,726, and that the rate for non-resident transportation, if necessary, be based on our contract for transportation for the 23-24 school year by assessing a prorated share of the route or by assessing the actual cost of individual transportation.
So moved.
Second.
So motion made and seconded. Questions, Bob?
How many non-residents tuitions do we have this year? Do you know? It's a handful, huh?
Ms. Wu can answer that.
To the best of my knowledge, we currently have one, and that is a student that comes here from Millbury. I'm going to believe, I would have to check with Kristen in my office, because she keeps all the records, that they started here, the family moved, they wanted to continue here, and fortunately, the town of Millbury was willing to pay the tuition to have them continue here as an out-of-district student. But that is the only one that I am aware of.
And we don't have any students leaving our district and going to Norfolk Aggie or Smith Aggie and.
That wouldn't be on, through the chair, that wouldn't be on us. Aggie School wouldn't be on us, that would be on the Assembly, the town from which they reside.
Yeah, okay. I just one question.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the acceptance of the 2023-2024 out-of-district tuition rates?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item we have, B4H, quarterly budget report.
Through the chair, there's no recommendation from this item.
I know that this was an item that we went over in the budget subcommittee. Does anyone want to go over or have any questions on the quarterly report that was provided in the packet? Seeing none, we'll move on to item B4I, approval of outside project.
Through the chair, the superintendent director and the vocational director recommend the school committee vote to approve the outside project for Charlton Softball Association as submitted.
So moved.
Seconded. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. B4J, IT Network Specialist Employment Policy.
Through the chair, the superintendent director and the IT director recommend the school committee vote to approve the 23-25 employment policy for the new IT networking specialist as submitted.
So moved.
Seconded. Motion made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Any significant changes from our previous employment policy with that position?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
So how many tech specialists do we have now? Do we have the, you have the lead, and how many people work under him?
Two.
This would be this is the second
That's
person?
right, yep.
Okay.
It's, Matt resigned and has a new job, so this is Matt's replacement.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion to approve the policy?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is superintendent's evaluation. I put this on here just because we had a good, what I thought was a good session from Tracy Novick a month or so ago, a week after our last April meeting, where she reviewed the whole evaluation process with the folks that were here that night, which was, I think, the better part of the half of the committee. So I wanted to, if I could, for those of you who couldn't make it, kind of highlight some of the things that she provided and make sure that there were no questions, knowing that the evaluations are due back by May 8th in the attempt that we can do our feedback and culmination at our June meeting. So these are just some of the things that I kind of pulled out of what she shared that night, and others who were here, feel free. So one of the things that stood out to me is that, and it makes perfect sense, that the evaluation is based on the approved goals that we as a committee approved, which there were 4 of them this year. And those goals are tied back to the evidence that the superintendent provides to us. In Tracy's words, I kind of quoted this, don't wander off. I think the intent there is to make sure that everyone's operating on equal footing based on the information provided, because we all may have different access to the school or whatever on a matter of, different topics. But the goal is to evaluate based on the approved goals of the school committee and the evidence that was provided back on those goals. This year we've got 4 goals that the superintendent submitted and we approved. Each of those goals is tied back to key actions, which are kind of outlined in that goal worksheet, and then benchmarks and evidence that we can use to measure the success of whether those goals were reached or not. And the other thing is each goal is tied back to a standard and at least one focus indicator. In the past, what we had done is, I think there's like 40 focus indicators in total. And in the past, we had given a rating on like all 40 focus indicators. And what Tracy shared with us that night is that when the goals were submitted and we approved, certain focus indicators were included with those goals, and therefore those are the focus indicators that we actually rate on versus the whole list of them. And that was news to me. I didn't realize that before that session. So the template that everyone got was modified to eliminate all the other ones and just to leave on there the ones that were tied to the goals that we approved. And then the last item I had a note here, and I just kind of wanted to get feedback from the committee, is past practice versus what the recommendation is for going forward as far as the process. So past practice has always been, at least the short time I've been on the committee, that basically all the verbatims were taken verbatim and put onto the final document that we share with Kyle the night that we feed it back. But what Tracy explained is that really there should be a summation. Typically it's the chair that summarizes the different feedbacks and inputs from committee members. But I don't necessarily feel comfortable with just making that change midstream or past midstream without at least a conversation of whether we want to keep it that way for this go around and implement the summation process for the next go around, or if everyone's comfortable with doing the summation this time. So that was basically a question I want to pose to all of you.
I would recommend that we keep it as is and use the summation next time. Just me personally, I'd like to see everybody's comments, and because I don't think there's any names with the comments, right? It's just a list of comments.
They have been named.
They have names, okay. I'm trying to think how I did it when I put it together. Summations are nice because it's just a couple paragraphs that, you look at it and just kind of sum it up. But I think that when people put in their comments, it's like in stone, and you're right, you're seeing exactly what they're saying as opposed to somebody else's interpretation of what it is. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
She also mentioned that comments are required for exemplary and not qualified. And proficiencies don't require any kind of a note.
Although they are helpful.
Yeah. You can,
yeah. Any other, I was leaning towards what Dave suggested as far as this go around, not changing it because we're most of the way through the process. Is there any heavy opposition to that? Is everyone okay with that?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. Just want to be sure. Any other things that people wanted added that I didn't include, that didn't stick out for me? All right, so May 8th, if everyone could have them back, and then I'll work with Sue to compile everything, and we'll have it on the agenda for June.
I know we asked her to give us a copy of is that available to everyone?
Yeah, Sue had sent it out.
Did
Yeah.
Sue send it? Yeah.
The email got kind of screwed up because I attempted to send it out and it was too big, so it didn't get sent back. It got sent back to me, so Sue sent it out in like 2 or 3 parts. So hopefully everyone has everything, including that training deck that Tracy provided that night.
It's also in the box.
Oh, that's right, it's in the Dropbox too, yeah. All right. All right, thanks everyone. Next item, under information and proposals, we have the report from the superintendent. Did I miss something?
Walk on.
We gotta walk on.
Approval of participation in skills.
Oh, okay. Okay. Item B4L, approval of participation in the Skills USA National Conference. We don't want to miss that one.
So, through the chair, the superintendent director, the vocational director, and the practical nursing director, as well as the school business manager, recommend the school committee vote to allow 5 Bay Path students, 7 practical nursing students, 2 advisors, 4 instructors, chaperones, 2 administrators, and 2 school committee members to attend the Skills USA National Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, from June 19th to the 24th, for costs for secondary students of approximately $36,350 to be paid out of account number 53 Skills USA, and the cost for PN students of $14,380 contingent upon confirmation of the LPN meeting budgeted revenues to be paid out of account number 12334 Skills USA expense.
So moved.
Seconded. Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of approval of participation as outlined?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Did I get everything?
Yes.
All right, now we'll move on to the report from the superintendent director.
Through the chair, I submitted a written report, and I'm prepared to answer any questions to that. You have them? Okay, remarks. One update is on the list of town meetings. They're all starting to come up this week, starting this week, tomorrow night. Paxton was moved from May 1st to May 22nd.
June 5th.
Oh, you did? Oh, sorry.
June 5th, Monday, June 5th.
June 5th. That's been moved again.
It's very late.
They didn't have a budget ready, so.
Okay. And I think I put May 5th for Spencer, but that's the 4th.
The 4th, Thursday the 4th.
Thursday the 4th.
And we're item number 15.
Yes.
I said, oh, I don't have to arrive early. And the clerk said to me, you better arrive early so we could have a
I
quorum.
was gonna say for a quorum.
North Brookfield is Friday night, but we'll probably pass over the money articles.
That's typical.
Yeah.
Put the budget off until later in June. Yeah, I have no Brookfield this issue.
All right. Thank you. I'll hand it back to you for principal search update.
Excellent. Through the chair, so there were 8 total applicants. The search committee of 17 invited 5 applicants in for first round interviews. 4 accepted, and they moved forward 2 just this week. I received all of that yesterday, so we have 2 candidates that will come in for an interview, and we are working on setting those up as soon as possible.
Any questions?
Will he be exactly, or she, like Cliff?
Nobody can.
Otherwise, they don't get the job.
All right, we'll move on to subcommittee reports. We'll start with audit subcommittee.
Nothing to report.
Budget subcommittee.
We had a budget subcommittee prior to this meeting, focusing on 23 transfers, 2023 transfers. And those were presented this evening to the school committee.
Thank you. Buildings and grounds.
Yes, during school vacation break, Mr. Tripp, and I'm gonna pass the buck to him. As soon as Mr. Sikowski sits down. But the Building and Grounds Committee has been working with Mr. Tripp and Tony to solve some of the concerns we have in the 3 shops. One being dental with the x-ray machine, one being the metal fab with space and being overcrowded with equipment. And the last one is the machine shop or applied with the rusting and of the machines and so on. Mr. Tripp, can you give us an update on since what's happened since vacation?
Absolutely. So through the chair, dental assisting, curtains are up. They were installed during April break. Tony Full Committee installed those, so no disruption of learning. Those are up and in place. So far so good. Instructors are happy with it. They do fold out of the way, so they're not always in place and they're not too much of a disruption on the space. Advanced manufacturing, we have a purchase order which was sent over to Kevin Seaman from Seaman Engineering. That's being reviewed. It's copied as a series of emails went through today between Kevin Seaman and Tony Fulgenetti, coordinating on plans in terms of electrical. And they're looking at the structure above advanced manufacturing. They might have to put supports in above the locker room for the new unit that's going to go on the roof. In terms of pricing, no idea on the pricing just yet, but the $8,000 feasibility study is taking place. Metal fabrication space concerns. So after feedback from Castle Booze, that the outside addition would not be feasible or ideal. Metal Fab is looking at rearranging their shop. They do not want a storage container outside. So that's to be continued.
My committee all got a copy of Mr. Tripp's email to me during school vacation. I want to make a comment about fields for a second. And Mr. Courier, you know the rules, and you know what's happened. We would have had new fields down on the lower part of our land across the street if it hadn't been for the town of Charlton for blocking us for a solar farm. We had plenty of plans to have new fields down there and be paid for by the solar farm. But because of the numbers in Charlton, how many fields you can have or how many solar panels you can have, it was blocked. And we would have had fields down there. But, you know, politics is politics. So,
Field house soup.
Huh?
A field house soup.
Probably, yeah. Cliff, you want to add to, I know, before Cliff goes, we promised them new fields, but we didn't do it.
Hopefully, we'll still be working on it, because now I think it was 2 meetings ago, the school committee allowed us to be able to hire a lawyer to make sure that we can now move forward with this. And what we're doing in the process now, we already met with a group of people from Charlton, and we're going to see what we can do about bringing it to the town floor in November. We're too late for this one coming up, and we're hoping that what we'll be able to do is we get the information properly straightened out, everything together. We might be able to bring it to the townspeople and ask them, would they allow us to, say, overwrite what has been put in place since we first started? Because when we originally started, we could have got in with that 30 group, but everyone in that 30 group hasn't also followed through and putting anything in. So all of them haven't been fulfilled, those different events that were already taken out. And we're looking at trying to put a step forward, offer to the town, where we brought the people together and try to tell them that we're trying to go forth without going and trying to ask for money, because, you know, everyone, it's tight. And if we can go forth and them to allow us to put a field in, we'll go out to bid again. If we get bids like we got last time, around $6 million last time we had, we'd be able to put in. and repair the football field slash lacrosse field and the track. Plus, we'll be able to do our baseball and softball field, make them into all-purpose fields, where the spring, the fall is when things really get hit out there on the part of, we use the part of the baseball field for soccer, and the outfield of the softball field is for field hockey. But in the spring, we, like right now, we have basically 4 teams playing on the football field that normally doesn't happen. And back when the school committee had their, this was a few years ago, so some of you were on it, hired a company from the outside that came in and did basically an outlay of what we need here and what it would cost back then. And it was coming up to, we needed, basically, we had to double our fields up. That's how bad it was. And we've since, to these fields, starting this year, because we used to use Southbridge High School, and David Prouty was field hockey. Southbridge High took on 4 of our teams, which we had their kids playing. Since then, their kids kind of dropped away, so we're back at our fields, where we're now hitting these fields that do not have a rest. No time to grow. The only real time they have to grow is the month of July, which burns the hell out of the field and it doesn't grow. We have no irrigation down there. Of course, it's wet all this time, but during the summer when we could use it, and you only have 30 days to grow and you would not have much to keep it up. We have tried we're explaining about this. We have tried, we've done rolling, trying to keep the field as level as possible for the twisted ankles, but a few rainstorms, a few mud, and the kids slip sliding and the ruts are coming back, and then you can't roll it because now it's too wet to roll it because this thing can push everything out. We've aerated. Hopefully we're going to try some fertilizer this year and try to keep things going. But the long scenario comes down to is we're going to try to push and go forth with the town and try to see if we can get this other part of revenue, because I think it would be a lot quicker than trying to ask for 10 towns for a budget to spend $2, $3, or maybe $4 million. We're better off to go out to bid with the solar farm and ask them if maybe they give us the last 2 years paid up front, and then we put it into the bank, get a loan on that, and then go forth and get our fields repaired for the kids. I think that's what you kind of want.
Through the chair, there was a discussion during the renovation expansion time. It was not reimbursable by the state to include the fields.
Correct.
As far as any athletic facilities. So we would then have to go to the towns for that additional $4 to $7 million. And at that time, the priority was to ensure that we had science labs, we had classrooms, we had a facade that wasn't falling down, we needed a roof, we needed windows, we needed new HVAC, and that was the purpose. So the decision was made not to try to attempt to go to the towns to get that additional funding, because the state doesn't reimburse that.
And for the people that were on the committee, the vote yes for Bay Path, Mr. Beelen, Bob, myself, that's the true story. We didn't have the money to put in the fields. We took the money that we needed for the school. That was the most important part. So blame us.
Positive thing on that, when it says on the committee and what they did, when they voted, something to look forward to in the path, what we're gonna be going forward to get votes. Charlton vote that came through for the building fund, remember this? They ended up knocking 3 of the towns that voted no to spend the money, and because we did district-wide vote, the spread that Charlton had actually cleared out like 3 other towns that voted no. So it's something might be positive for if we can go there and try to get a solar farm that doesn't cost us anything except receiving revenue. Is in part of the bid that went out last time, Charlton was going to receive almost $2 million So instead of a $6 million that we had, $2 million that was going to them, so it's an $8 million bid that they put in that this district would get for the school.
I was just wondering if the school has someone who could dedicate their time to writing a grant. There's grants out there for everything. And I would imagine that if we were to look around and find some kind of a grant for such a thing, because schools do tend to, when they're voting on budgets and all, put sports last. And I'm thinking, in almost 20 years that I've been here, I've heard this so many times that these fields need attention. And now the gentleman here said, Mr. Smith, what was his name?
Davis.
Davis, right, that they were this way when he was here. So I'm thinking that it might be serious consideration to think of looking for a grant.
So what I was gonna suggest, is that, you know, I think there's a lot of different stuff around the fields in general, whether it's a long-term solution, short-term solution, and there might be different options on both approaches. I think it definitely warrants more information and conversation. So if Mr. Wilby's not opposed, I'd like to suggest that the Buildings and Grounds meet and cover those things. And among the different things that got brought up tonight, again, I think what we need to look at is, obviously, a big effort probably is gonna happen tomorrow. So in the interim, we probably need some kind of a short-term solution that can maybe make things better. I don't know what those options are, but the hope would be that maybe we can find out what some of those options are, whether it's grant funding, whether it's different types of maintenance, I don't know what they are. And then the other thing that I think we have that we may wanna spend some time on is a study that was done in 2016 about field expansion and what some of the options might be around field expansion and the associated costs. I think we have to get an updated cost because, you know, it's dated now. But that might be something else worth the subcommittee taking a look at and determining how and when we need to move forward, what the options are.
We also had a dozen parents
Yep.
that were really interested.
Yeah.
Is there a parents group that supports sports? Is there an alumni association that supports? They could start a fundraiser. And I'm sure that, you know, Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's thing on that field wasn't because of the administration going out and seeking it. It was because of the parents group that formed and said, we gotta find some money to help support the athletic programs.
To respond to, Shepherd Hill has a very active booster club.
All right.
And through the booster club, there was $1 million award by a Dunkin' Donut owner-operator.
All right.
Who owns multiple Dunkin' Donuts. He had a son who played on the football team.
Yeah.
There was also another parent in that booster club who donated $100,000.
Yeah.
And as a result, that's the only way
that would have happened.
That that facility was built, and it is a top-notch facility, there's no doubt about it. And what has to happen in the short term here at Baker, that field needs a rest, and it's not getting a rest.
Yeah.
And so it's going to continue, but I think you bring up a good point. I think there should be an advocacy for booster club type operation, and it will be the parents who are going to get the spark interested in there.
Al?
Serving on that committee, when the solar farm was gonna come to fruition, we ran into a very serious situation where we could only do a 10-year for that land, and they wanted a minimum of 20 years. So we had to go through the state reps and everything else, and a long time drawn out to finally get the state to agree to change the 10 years to 20 years. And I think that 20-year is still in force for us. So at least that hurdle has already been crossed if something else came about for that down in that area. But the solar farm area was gonna pay the school and also put in the field, the clubhouse, everything. We went through the whole thing with them, and then Charlton stepped in and drew it close to it, so.
Is there something you wanted to add to that, Cliff?
The statement is absolutely correct on, almost everything that was said, except it's, they gave us 30 years. It's a 10-year lease with an extension of 10 on it, so it's up to a 30-year lease that you can actually do with one company. So
That's
was one of the
enforced
things-
now?
That's enforced, and that's what, when you were on that committee, that's what actually came through. I have a copy, I gave it to Mr. Brenner.
Took a while to get it, but.
Oh my God, yeah. That's where we get knocked off the 30.
As the chairman of the building and sub-grounds, I accept, as long as I have some qualified people to give us the guidance, like Mr. Tripp, and maybe Mr. Coutier will be around so we can pick his brain.
As long as there's nothing memorial, I think,
But I think it has to be done. I think we gotta move forward, and whether it be the solar farm or whatever, these fields needs attention. There's no
Yeah,
question.
I think it's just a case of being very familiar with what the options are, whether option A is the solar because it's the most economically feasible one, and then what options B, C, and D might be, and then if there's money involved that the towns would have to contribute to make any of those things happen, it's a case of getting those proposals, those associated cost estimates in front of those towns. I mean, I'm on the Capital Planning Improvement Committee in Rutland, and one of the things we love to see is what are those different things that are coming up that are capital projects so that they can get in the priority list. And then it's really, at that point, it's up to the towns to provide the priority within their towns, and then the feedback back to the school that, hey, this is gonna fall wherever in the list. And you know, parent advocacy groups can have those conversations with the towns as well, once we get the different options on the table and in front of the towns. Is there anything you want to share on that? Or do we hold it until the subcommittee?
I think you can hold for
Okay.
the subcommittee. I'll just add through the chair that, right, there was a comprehensive master plan report done for Bay Path by Gale Associates on the athletic fields, and all the comments tonight are spot on. We're currently exceeding the usage standard of our multipurpose fields by 6 times the usage. At the time this was written, we were down 2 sports and they recommended 4 fields, and instead of going that way, it went to increasing the usage by 2 sports and not putting any additional fields. They need a minimum of 30 to 40 days during the growing periods to regenerate the roots. They don't get any of that right now. Certain stuff has been done. When this report was written with safety concerns, and all the immediate safety concerns were addressed. Fencing at the severe drop-offs, there were iron grates for drainage, those had rubber covers out there. They took care of some of the swales during that, and they addressed all the immediate concerns there. And the 2 options at the time in 2016, a turf option was $7.7 million with additional multipurpose fields, and the other option was natural turf at almost $9 million, and that put in, I think, 3 additional multi-purpose fields across the street, as well as relocating the baseball field down there. But the sheer fact of it is, at an allocation of 200 uses per annum for a multi-purpose field, we are at, 6 times that, nearly 1,200 uses for it. So they get no rest on it. So, yeah, and the solar field was a no-cost option, but going through the leasing process delayed it. They changed the zoning bylaws 2-3 weeks ago. We met with the town administrator, the planning board chairman, as well as the building committee chairman on it, and we talked about possible options to move forward and get it on the town agenda to be approved on it. A lot of hurdles in the way, appetite for additional solar farms in Charlton, where Charlton already has a significant number more than any of the neighboring towns. So that would be a hurdle for the residents to absorb a large field, because nothing's quite as big. Right now, I think the largest one was 5 acres in town. We're looking at 20 acres on it. So there's some hurdles, but on the flip side, there's also a no-cost option for state-of-the-art athletic facilities to be right here in the center of Charlton, as a showcase for the school, but also, as you know, probably when you come in or go out, the number of people that come up here and utilize the fields for, you know, their own purposes and enjoyment on that. So, so we are still working that actively, trying to find a pathway to have the solar farm. And on the flip side, without that, if you follow the news, Dudley just overwhelmingly shot down an override for educational facilities, much needed on that. And many of our towns, Rutland and Paxton, are facing overrides for funding of the Wachusett Public Schools educational programming, and to approach them with a, you know, 7 million, I would have to say that's probably close to double the cost for these options. So anywhere from $14 to $20 million. There's not going to be a strong appetite to jump on board and say, yeah, let's do it. So that unique alternative of the solar field is our best option, and then start exploring other options on that. But as you said, I'll seek an update from Gale Associates on cost on these for current pricing.
Okay.
But is grant searching an option?
We'll certainly look, through the chair, sorry. We'll certainly look for that. In all the grant searches I've done, I've never seen athletic facilities. Usually they're, you know, educational, so labs, new vocational. Yeah, there is capital programming to add, you know, educational, but I haven't seen it for athletics.
Be worth taking a look.
Certainly.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Wilby, for taking that one on. Moving on to negotiation subcommittee. Mr. Eric.
Next negotiations is the 3rd of May, and then we got another one planned for later on.
I know you can't share specifics, but things progressing?
Seems though little steps.
Okay. Policy subcommittee.
Appreciate the letter you sent out on behalf of the school committee to the Ethics Commission. And on the housing project, we are now still waiting for an answer from them. So until we hear some decision from them, everything's on hold on the housing project.
Yeah, and just in case, if you don't mind, I don't know if everyone saw the update on that. The letter was sent to the Ethics Commission as, you know, per the vote of the school committee in April. It was sent out, I believe it was April 10th. And we followed up last Thursday, just trying to get a status update of the timeline they were looking at. And they say typically things are reviewed within 30 days. But then they ended by saying, we're a little backlogged, so it may be longer. I don't know what that means, but what I will definitely do is come perhaps mid-May, follow up again, because I'd really like to see if we could get that on the agenda with some response from them for June.
That's all.
Okay. And then warrant subcommittee, warrants, as we said earlier, circulating around. Next item is future business. Our next regular meeting is on June 5th, the Monday after graduation, I believe. As always, any topics for the agenda, please send it to Kyle, Zoom, myself. And then item E, remarks from the superintendent.
Through the chair, I just want to again thank Arminda for the wonderful work that she has done on the committee this year. And I shared with her earlier this afternoon that she has actually affected change in communications, wireless access, and bringing to light some concerns about our inclusion and diversity work that needs to be done. So thanks and best of luck in all your future endeavors. I'd also like to recognize on National Principals Day our own beloved principal, Mr. Cloutier. And just call to attention because Skills States was this weekend, we have 12 gold medals, 3 silver medals, and 4 bronze medals, so they did fantastic. We have 5 high school students moving on and 7 LPNs moving on for nationals on that. And I look forward to having a great presentation by our robotics team that came back from the San Francisco area with 3 bronze and a gold medal. And it's just even sweeter knowing that they were the only high school team to compete among college and professionals. And from all over the world, talking to some of the students against Brazil and Japan, and they had a wonderful time. So they're putting together a great presentation to highlight that.
We'll start on this side.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank Arminda also. Every year, the students keep impressing me on their involvement and just cooperation and hard work with all the students. So thank you and good luck at school, at Wheaton. I had an opportunity to judge a skills contest last Friday with Bob, and it was outstanding, and all went well. So it's good news hearing about our students also, and it's good to have Mr. Wilby back. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And looking forward to the golf coming up May 20. Our captain's not here tonight. He's our A player too, so Rich isn't here, but we're looking forward to that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Just best wishes to you. Take it all in, enjoy it.
Thank you.
And I had a question for Cliff. Is it possible that graduates could get a couple of extra tickets to graduation? I had some grandparents who never missed Bay Path graduation, and they wanted to know if they could have extra tickets.
Yeah, we sent the note home to all parents, sent them all an email, we all sent to the students that what we do is we hand out the immediate families, everyone gets 6, and then what's left over, because some kids don't even take the 6, and we stack them up and they just get put on a list, so they usually, almost everyone gets all the tickets they want, but we try to hold some people back when they want the 15 and 20, and it's just like, no.
Yeah, they want 2.
Yeah, well, I understand, but I'm just saying for.
Well, it's hopeful then.
It's gonna cost you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're all set.
All right, thanks, man.
Good luck to you with graduation and college.
Good luck and much appreciation for your efforts here. And I wanted to give a couple bits of information. The Skills USA had 2,200 contestants.
Wow.
That competed last Friday. Well, actually Thursday, Friday. Teamworks was a two-day event. Also, I spoke to the nursing program here because postgraduates sometimes don't compete against a wide range. They're still held to a certain standard. So the people who got gold, they reached the gold standard. So it wasn't that they they won because of default. There were occasions in the past where they went in and got a bronze medal, and there was no gold in the postgraduate section. But these people really excelled in that area.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Arminda. It was a great having you here. There's a lot of useful information. Best wishes on what you do in the future. And I just wanted to comment on the fields as we've talked about them when we saw parents here. I think it's really important that they understand that this it's not something that we've ignored. That studies was done that I had just started here and that was done. And that it's a continuous process, and just because our hands are kind of tied, it's not that we don't know what needs to be done. I just think that's an important message there.
Thanks, Amber.
I'd like to comment on Mr. Davis's concerns. And I think, number one, I appreciate what he spelled out. And it doesn't appear as though he is nitpicking or is hostile about, he's got a history here, as does his family. And I think we still have challenges with our admissions policy. I still have questions about our focus or lack of focus sometimes on our vocational career goals with students. And I think it's great that many students are being accepted at some wonderful colleges and universities, but I do believe our focus should be on our career education. There were comments concerning the committee wanting to end the building project, but I don't see that as our wanting to end. I see it as our needing to clean that up. He brought up the fact that some of the styles, we've had some buildings that have taken 2 years to build, some of that having to do with things out of our control. But I think simple is, simple capes and simple splits and simple ranches, so that we in fact can ensure that the project is completed within that year. And it is going to be the students that will benefit, I believe, from a simpler design than what we've entertained, especially in recent years.
Thank you. Welcome back, Mr. Wilby.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving the school community, the communities, the 10 communities. It's important to do that early in life. You may catch yourself sitting here or in another school committee someday, but it's important work. Sometimes it's not always, the appreciation isn't always shown, but sometimes it's not obvious until there are others and there's patterns that are developing, but it's important work, and I appreciate you doing it. Sometimes it's easier to go out and have fun with your friends, but I think you'll look back at this as a time that might be beneficial for you. I was glad to see there were some parents that showed up. They're interested. There doesn't seem to be enough of that in some places. I wish we had time to share with them some of the comments that my esteemed colleague from Dudley shared. I don't know if they know that we really care about such matters. It's easy to just assume it was set aside for something else, but maybe we can communicate with them in some way, showing our appreciation that they communicated with us. I'm not big on, and no one was cut off, everyone got to speak, but cutting taxpayers off at 3 minutes, I'm sure you would have shown more latitude if it was necessary. But there's nothing wrong with the taxpayers or parents showing up at meetings and expressing themselves. Sometimes even when they're hostile, it's good that they get that out of their system. And even the most acrid of opposition sometimes brings a problem to a head, and people, you learn from it, even though it's not always a pleasant experience. But, okay, well, thank you.
Well, that's quite the segue right into my turn. So, I'd like to just piggyback on what Mr. Shore said. I totally agree. in recognizing vocational accomplishments and maybe leading these students down a path where they're proud of their vocational accomplishments and maybe start eyeing some of those opportunities. Let's face it, we're not gonna have any craftsmen 10 years from now. If we don't start getting some people out into the field, they can get out there without any college debt. They can be making $100,000 a year after just a couple of years out in industry, especially for some of these highly skilled workers. Maybe we should start thinking about some things like signing days. Students have college signing days. Maybe if we're getting into some of the bigger companies, we could have some vocational student signing days. Have the companies come in here, kind of make a big deal out of that. I've been hearing it for years from staff that, you know, we have lots of posters regarding which colleges we're going to, or which colleges you might want to go to, or here's your path. You know, we could probably highlight the vocational piece a little bit better. And also, I agree that the comments from the parents, the residents were fantastic, Mr. Davis as well. And I think they really are eager to make some changes here. I believe we covered the fields. I don't think there's much more to say about that. I believe the admission process is gonna play out by itself. Not that we can't have a look at it in the future, but that's gonna play out by itself within the next couple of years, and we'll have to come up with something a little bit different just to satisfy the state, and I look forward to being a part of that. The other comments from Mr. Davis regarding the house project, and the one comment that he forgot that was in the email, my favorite one, the student time on learning, construction students, why are they getting 5 to 6 hours a day? I hope we can finally get to the truth of that matter, why those students aren't getting their full 6 hours like every other vocational student in the building is getting that hands-on practical training. Hopefully Mr. Davis gets an answer. Also, every construction advisory meeting that I stopped into on advisory night talked about that very same thing, house project, and I agree. It doesn't look like we're trying to get rid of the house project. Maybe that's what it looks like in the public eye. I know that's not the case in coming to these meetings and talking with all of you. But they were all upset about that time off learning. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of that. I know you think it's my pet peeve. It's in the advisory minutes, probably for all 4 construction shops, and not because of something that I pushed. However, coincidentally, Mr. Davis also has 2 children in electrical, as do I, who are not gonna be getting the full benefit of the 6 hours of practical training like every other student in the building will be next year. I'd like to thank Arminda. You've been fantastic, not just bringing in narratives and conversation, but hard data, much appreciated. You've done an awesome job. You're gonna be sorely missed. I'd like to congratulate the robotics team, the football team, Skills USA, and lastly, Mark Sansucci, the baseball coach, longtime baseball coach, just got his 300th win. That's huge in the baseball community. So thank you to Mark Sansucci for all of his years of dedication. And then lastly, I just have a question about the transportation. Maybe the parent was mistaken, but is it true that when one of the games or some of the games are moved, the students don't actually have transportation back from wherever they're at? Did I misunderstand what that lady said about students having to move their game, but then they didn't have busing back to the school?
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. I wrote it down to look into that.
Okay.
But yeah, no, if there's an away game, we provide transportation for that.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit off. I'd like to think that.
What caught me a little bit, it's an away game, but it's not. The way I understood it is it was originally supposed to be a home game, ended up being in a different field. Is transportation still given, even though it wasn't originally intended to be?
Yeah, whenever possible, we provide transportation for all the after school. That's why we're struggling with our buses and, you know, the age of 2 of them, and we're leasing on it. But whenever we move or an away game, we provide transportation where possible on it.
Okay, that's all I have. I'd like to know that definitely didn't happen, or if there was even one instance, I'd like to know why or how we could fix that. I'd hate to see kids being left out. because they may not have a ride home to that alternative location, especially when we know this is gonna continue on until we can solve the problem with the fields.
Irene, did you have something to?
How can you follow that?
Through the chair, to the best of my knowledge, transportation is always provided back to the school. Sally, our transportation coordinator, Sally Sapuka, has never let me know that there was a time when, hey, we dropped them off and they were on their own. However, I do know that sometimes if you've got a varsity game and a JV game, and they're separated by time, okay, and they've had to go all on one bus, or maybe they've all had to share 3 vans, you may have had kids sitting around who then called mom or dad and said, hey, I don't wanna sit here for 2 hours waiting for the JV game to finish, could you come get me? You know, that may have happened at times. But I have not been made aware of any time when students were not transported back to the school following an away game, whether it was an originally scheduled or a rescheduled game.
Thank you.
Thanks, Irene. Jim?
Like I said earlier, how can you follow that? George has it all down.
Oh, boy.
I'd like to wish you well in your course of study. It's an ever-increasing need for your professionals in that field, and I wish you well in there, and I hope you just really set the world on fire with that. And George has covered everything else, so.
Thanks, Jim.
Al?
Well, first I'd like to wish Amanda a lot of success and to stay safe, keep heads up on what's surrounding, and a lot of success. Secondly, I'd like to mention May 25th, here we are in May already, we're gonna have our Memorial Veteran Service, and I would like to invite as many of the school committee members to it because I have added to my normal veteran memorial by adding 2 patriots of this Bay Path school who have given many years of their life helping thousands of children. So we're gonna recognize Susan and we're gonna recognize Cliff in this Patriot Memorial Service. So if all of you could join, it would be really, really nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Peter?
Thank you very much, Amanda. Good luck in your endeavors, and make Big Path proud. You did a great job throughout the year here. Welcome back, Bob.
Thank you.
And congratulations to the robotic team too. That's amazing as far as their accomplishments going against the competition.
Amanda, thank you for what you've done this year. Of all the years I've been here, your reports were thorough and appreciated. Thank you. And she's also a Leo. She's not all bad. You know how I come from. But hey, I have to agree with George. What, George? I agree with you once.
I don't think he's well yet.
But I agree with you. I'm one of the ones that brought up this issue of the kids sitting around in the shop waiting to go out on the job. I think that is awful. And I totally agree with you on that. So put that down, and I agree with George.
Jim, you're just...
Picture there, make sure you're awake.
Don?
First of all, Don, thank you for arranging that superintendent evaluation training. I thought it was very beneficial. It really was good. And thanks for that letter, copy of the letter to the ethics board and the update. My concern with that is, like you said, they don't know when they're gonna get it. Hopefully this month you'll hear back so something can be put on the June agenda. But my concern is what's gonna happen in September with these kids, that they won't have a house building project to do. Because I'm not sure if there's plans to re-advertise or what, but I think it's important that we have a place for them to go because we don't have a place in the building for the plumbers. They need that house, and as Mr. Davis said, he's got 2 sons in electrical. They'll be juniors, they're supposed to go out on the house project next year. It's so important that we have that ready for them soon in September to get started. And lastly, John, do you know what programs won the gold in the skills competition? Because and I know obviously about the robotics, and so if I see Tate, I can recognize them.
Categories?
Yes, yes.
Well, we had Health Knowledge Bowl, that was a team effort.
Okay.
First aid, CPR, gold and silver. That's in the these are all postgraduates.
Okay, how about the high school?
Redevelop postgraduates first.
Okay.
Then we had medical math, gold and silver. Practical nursing, gold and silver. Then the secondary area, computer programming, gold. Dental assisting, gold. First aid, CPR, gold. Nail care, gold. Graphic sublimation, bronze. Plumbing, bronze. Precision laser imaging, bronze.
Great, thank you.
No, Teamworks.
No, Teamworks didn't place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, and best of luck in your future endeavors up there. There's mention of approval for 2 school committee people for the national skills. In the past, we've talked about that a process, and it was usually getting your name in if you were interested, getting the name into Sue and then a decision was made whether we pulled it out of the hat or whether it was for individuals that did not go to have an opportunity. So June is around the corner. We're talking May 1st, but June, and there's all type of paperwork that's needed to do Skills USA. So some thought has to be done about that. This year we have 4 Eagle Scouts graduating from Bay Path. For 15 years, I've been working with the National Eagle Scout Association to be sure that they would have an honor cord from Eagle, and the Scouts would get that honor cord and be able to wear it. The Trail to Eagle is a strenuous project. The individuals from Bay Path definitely used their skills that they gained here at Bay Path to do the community service projects. They had to design it, they had to negotiate with agencies that would sponsor with them, they had to get the help, and then manage the project. And that's part of not only all the badges that they have. So this year we have four Eagle Scouts, and I look forward to the future where there'll be a young lady from Bay Path who will be part of that Trail to Scouting, which weekly I'm getting announcements about young women of doing that. If you ever get a chance to go to an Eagle Court of Honor, I would suggest you do that. You will see the commitment of the individuals and what the young scouts had to go through. 5 out of every 100 scouts attain Eagle over the years. 5 out of every scout. So that's all I have. He's a Leo. I'm a lifelong member of the National Eagle Scout Association. So.
That's good, that's good.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Amanda, and thank you for all the input you gave us. It really was good. I mean, you did a really good job, so, and good luck with everything at school. Mr. Wilby, it is good to have you back, and it was you were missed at Skills. I'll echo what Dave had said, and that was, it was a good day. And I would encourage anybody that hasn't done Skills judging or participation, what a nice bunch of kids. I mean, really, you can't say enough. They come in, they're so polite, they're just a good bunch of kids. So anyways, it was a great day. So I would encourage people to do that. I think they could use the help too. It seems like they're always looking for help, so anyways.
If anyone's interested, let me know.
They can talk to Mr. Erickson.
This is the new shirt.
There you go.
I work for clothing.
Yeah. I thought it was one of your leftovers.
No, this is the new one.
Thanks, Bob.
That's all.
Arminda, any parting words?
First of all, thank you everyone for the kind words. This is my last meeting, but I'm probably still gonna put out one more survey just to follow up on some things and close out the school year. And then I graduate, I'm out of here. So I just wanna thank the committee for the opportunity, and this was definitely very rewarding for me to be able to see that what I did created change in the school. And yeah.
Thanks, Arminda. I'm gonna echo everyone else's sentiment and thank you and wish you all the best in your future endeavors. If what you did here is any indication of what you're gonna go on and do with the rest of your life, you got good things ahead. So congratulations and good luck with everything. I'll echo also everyone else's sentiments about Skills USA and robotics. Congratulations to both. And Bob, to your point, just again, the Skills USA National Conference that you were talking about, it's June 19th through 24 in Atlanta, Georgia. And if there is any interest, one of two ways, I think Sue was planning on sending out a note, but if you know you're interested, feel free to let her know tonight or shoot an email as well, because like Bob said, the time's closing in and tickets and everything else need to be taken care of for that. Bob, I'll note too, along the lines of your scout, Eagle Scout, I agree with everything you said. I've had the opportunity to sit on some of those Eagle Board of Reviews and they're really rewarding. But I'll also note, and my wife would love that I'm doing this, Girl Scouts has an equally aggressive gold award is what they call it in Girl Scouts, and it's equally as aggressive. There's a lot of work put in for girls that go through that award process as well, both silver and gold.
Yeah, we're gonna send her the video.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
One additional, I was Eagle Court of Honor in Southborough. The troop started in the early 1960s. This group that went through because of COVID, they delayed the Eagle Court of Honor, 173.
Wow.
And that troop has traveled all over the world and did projects all over the world.
Yeah.
So I think it's an active group.
That's great. Let's see, what else did I want to mention?
One remark about Eagles. My son now, one of the boys who graduated with one of my sons was an Eagle Scout, and he applied to West Point. And the guidance person at West Point called the Selfridge High School guidance person and said that Andrew had been accepted at West Point. And she said, "Oh, that's wonderful. The family will be so happy." And she said, "What put him over the top for you?" And she said that he was an Eagle Scout. That did it, because it showed he had all the attributes necessary to be a good person.
That's very true.
In my years of personnel and hiring, if a person came in with an Eagle Scout, they almost automatic had the job. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it speaks a lot.
What about if they were a Leo?
You get assistant job. We didn't have Leos in those days.
The greatest thing is when your son gets Eagle, and your Eagle, and your grandson becomes an Eagle Scout.
Wonderful.
Wow, that's a major accomplishment.
It is.
I have 3 grandsons that are Eagle Scouts. Every one of them are working very, very full capacity. They do an excellent job.
Yeah. Just going after it speaks a lot about the person.
Yes, it does.
The other thing I wanted to mention, circling back on the memo to Mr. Davis, what the intent there was is, there was some requests for information and maybe clarification. So the intent there is to gather those things, like the admissions policy, for example, to, because if you had difficulty trying to find where it was, certainly want to provide that information to them. So that was going to be the first pass to respond back and provide all the information that he was requesting. And I agree, Tim. I don't think there was, I think they were all good concerns that certainly merit response, and if there's follow-up we need to do. then we can do that once we provide back that initial response, if that's acceptable with everyone. And John, I just wanted to circle back to something that you made a comment on. It just concerned me, and I could have taken it the wrong way, but I want to make sure that we handle things as everyone's comfortable with going forward. You know, I view the chairman's job to kind of run the meeting in the structure that the committee has set by its policy. And, you know, the reason I read what I did is just because I'm sure a lot of these people have never been to a meeting and aren't familiar with our policy. So if I cut things off after 15 minutes, I wanted to make sure that people understood what our policy as approved by the committee is. Certainly open to adjustments to that policy if that's the wish of the committee, but I view my job as trying to follow the policy that the committee has established to the best that I can, so.
There was zero criticism on my part.
I just wanna make sure we
You
were
were
okay,
stating the
that's all.
policy the way it is. I think the policy gives you
It
the
does.
latitude that I'm sure you would use wisely, but it's, I've seen some citizens, not in our venue, but elsewhere, get very upset that they can only talk for 3 minutes.
Right.
Or 5, and when you look at, well, when you're at a meeting and it's 10 o'clock and you wanna get out of there, every minute matters, but it's sometimes that 1 minute or 30 seconds extra can resolve an issue.
I just wanted to make sure you knew why I did what I did, that's all, so.
Oh,
I don't think in this case that the individuals that were part of the public speakers felt that they were slighted. Because I think the initial speaker stated it and all the others supported that same premise. So I think.
Well, hopefully they walked away thinking that we heard their thoughts and that we'll do what we need to do as far as next steps go,
Joe, after we break, I'd like to take a picture in front of Amanda, you, and Kyle.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, and with that, I think that's it. I'll take a motion. Motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I don't think so. Motion carries.